Hello everybody, my name is KingStix and today I'm going to be going over my power roster for League of Legends Season 8. I am a jungle main, so let's go over the jungle position first. The champion I'm going to be playing most in the beginning of Season 8 is definitely Rammus. He's extremely tanky, he has amazing ganks, he's strong in the early, mid, and especially strong in the late game. He works well with pretty much any team comp since he's tanky and does lots of damage, and he plays well against any enemy team comp since he's tanky and does lots of damage. And of course, he is extremely mobile, which allows him to be so good in every part of the game. Even though they have nerfed Rammus a few times, he's still really strong, especially if you know what you're doing and you can make really good use of him. I'm just hoping they don't nerf him anymore. If he gets one medium or medium small nerf, he'll probably won't be worth it, and I'll move on to another tank jungler. If you do decide you want to play a lot of Rammus in this Season 8, it's very important that you ban Vayne. Vayne is extremely powerful right now with the different rune changes and item changes. She absolutely melts, and especially Rammus because her true damage goes past his armor. So if you are going to be picking Rammus, just make sure you ban Vayne. You should be fine. No one else in the game really counters Rammus that hard. Vayne's really the only clear counter I can possibly think of. If the enemy team does pick Vayne because they had first pick and you decide not to ban for one reason or another, I would highly suggest not picking Rammus because you're going to end up crippling yourself, especially in the late game. Even the early game can be tough as Rammus against Vayne because if you try to gank her, she can condemn you, which will instantly cancel your Q and push you away. So it's very difficult ganking her in the early and mid game, and late game, like I said, she'll just tear you up. The second champion I intend on playing the most in Season 8 is Zac. I feel like he has a lot of carry potential. His ganks are disgusting with how far he can jump. The only issue I find with him, if the enemy team does get Vayne, it will hurt you very, very bad. She can knock you out of the air while you're jumping at her with her condemn. She also tears you up very quickly since Zac stacks a lot of HP. Her true damage will melt you like crazy. Another issue I run into with playing Zac is that he's such an expensive champion. It's very hard for me to play him whenever I'm doing some side work or not playing on my main account, if you know what I mean. If I do own Zac on that account, I will play him the second most. The third champion on my jungle roster is Warwick. I'm very good at him. He's an extremely cheap champion, so I can play him on any account no matter what. I've especially gotten good at carrying in low elo with him. If I'm in higher elo, I'm not a big fan of playing him because whenever I play Warwick, I have a very specific style. I play hyper aggressive. I keep tabs on all of the enemy's jungle camps. I keep vision in their jungle. I know exactly where they've gone and where they're going to be, which allows me to shut them down very early. This is very difficult though if I'm playing by myself and I can't coordinate properly with my mid laner, top laner, or bot lane. Whenever I am in mid or higher elo, I do like to duo with my mid laner. That way I can coordinate whenever I am going to be going in to get the enemy jungler. So I could tell my mid laner, for example, hey, go ahead and push lane. That way I don't get fucked by your mid laner. Or if their mid laner does come to get me, I'll say, hey buddy, come on, come down here, let's 2v2 this, or anything of that nature. If the enemy team has Tahm Kench, I highly recommend avoiding Warwick because Warwick relies off of mainly CCing a single target in a fight or pinning them with his ultimate. Tahm Kench completely cock blocks that. He just swallows the target you're on and then there's nothing you can do. That is why my fourth pick on my jungle roster is Xin Zhao. It doesn't matter too much, plus whenever Xin Zhao's in there, he can just use his ult to stay alive. It pushes everyone off him. It also allows him to not take any damage unless they're in the circle. Xin Zhao is very similar to Warwick in the way he plays. He's just a little bit tankier in a team fight because of his ultimate. In general though, I don't pick him unless the enemy team has something like a Tahm Kench or maybe a Janna that can super cock block. My fifth jungle roster pick is Sejuani / Twitch. The reason why I even have Sejuani on here is because I feel like she's on the verge of being very strong and is very strong if you can make it to the mid and late game, assuming you're not playing in higher elo, because in higher elo, if the enemy jungler is any good, they will bully you and make your life very miserable in the early game. Also have Twitch on there because he's extremely fun to smurf and boost with. He can carry games extremely hard, especially if you are dueling with a teammate who goes something like a Lulu or Morgana. They can just put their black shield on you or ult you, which allows you to carry the game a million times harder than pretty much any other champion. Since Twitch has ridiculous range, high damage output, he can go invisible. I mean, he has pretty much everything you want in a jungler. The only issue is when you're not dueling with somebody, because if no one pills for you properly, then Twitch jungle is fairly useless. And those are the champions for my jungle roster: Rammus, Zac, Warwick, Xin Zhao, Sejuani, and Twitch. Honorable mentions to Jax and Poppy. I still might pick Jax if I'm feeling spontaneous, only if the enemy team has 2 or more AD carries, and another auto attack based champion like Xin Zhao. And I would only pick Poppy if the enemy team has Yasuo because I feel like she cock blocks him so hard. Whenever he tries to dash, she just completely stops it with her circle aura. My secondary role I intend on playing in Season 8 is AD carry. I'm no longer going to be playing a whole lot of support unless I get autofilled, and if I do, at least I know it well enough to pull more than my own weight. For AD carry, my first roster pick is Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw feels like a very underrated AD carry. I believe if you know how to play Kog'Maw, you can smash pretty much any elo, whether it's low or high. His W allows him to have more range than any other AD carry in the laning phase, gives him heaps of extra damage. He melts tanks with just Rage Blade. He melts squishies with just Rage Blade. Overall, he's probably one of the strongest mid-game AD carries. In the true late game, when everyone has full items, I think he does have a little bit of a fall off since he can't really build things like Last Whisper and use them properly. In the true late game, I feel like he does fall off a little bit. But in the mid-late game and in the mid-game, he has a ridiculous power spike with his Rage Blade and Hurricane. Avoid picking Kog'Maw if your team doesn't have a single tank. Even if you have a really good peel support, without a front line, it's very difficult for Kog'Maw to do what he does best, which is to completely gun down the enemy team's front line before they can kill yours. This leads me into my second pick for my AD carry roster, which is Kalista. If you don't have a proper front line, Kalista is hands down one of the best AD carries you can pick. She has loads of dashes. Even if an assassin jumps on you, as long as you dash properly and interweave your Q dash in as well, there's no way they can really stay on you unless they kill you with one spell or one auto attack. She plays a lot different than most AD carries since you can't cancel your auto attacks and your leaps do take some time to get the hang of. Just make sure you get her down before you try playing her in rank. If you do put in the work, you'll get a lot of reward out of Kalista. Even though she is number 2 on my AD carry list, she's probably one of the most fun AD carries I've ever played personally. The third and final AD carry on this list is Twitch. Now Twitch isn't as strong as he was in season 7. However, I do believe he is still extremely viable and a great AD carry to have in your arsenal. The biggest issue with Twitch AD carry is he's so vulnerable in lane. Champions like Jhin have way more poke than him and can poke him down. People like Tristana have a lot more damage for trades and out-trade him. Kalista out-trades Twitch as well in the early game. She just stacks up spears and spears, while Twitch can only get 5 stacks of poison. If you are going to play Twitch AD carry, make sure you're a seasoned AD carry player and you have a proper support. He's one of the most vulnerable AD carries in the early game since he doesn't have a proper way to escape out of a fight and he's very short range pre-6. My support roster only consists of 3 champions. The first one is Alistair. Alistair is a strong champion right now since Leon has been nerfed repeatedly. He's one of the only good automatic CC champions left. Things like Blitzcrank and Thresh are a little bit too iffy. If the enemy bot lane knows what they're doing, they're going to avoid your hooks for the most part, which is only good part of Thresh and Blitzcrank's kit. Meanwhile, Alistair has automatic engage with his headbutt and Q combo. I also really like Alistair for his anti-engage. If the enemy jungler comes to gank, you can just headbutt them away and run. There's not much the enemy bot lane can do to stop you. The last thing I want to mention about Alistair is just how safe of a pick he is. In lane, if you're getting bully, you just sit back and your passive will allow you to heal you and your AD carry whenever a nearby enemy minion dies. And if you are pushing lane, because your AD carry is a pusher like Jhin, Sivir, Tristana, then you can buy mobility boots on your first back and gank the enemy mid lane and then just keep coming back to your lane in between. Mobility boots allow Alistair to roam with ease, which is why he is number 1 on my support roster. Number 2 is Soraka. If my AD carry is not a pusher AD carry, I don't really bother picking Alistair for the most part. I don't feel like it pays off since I can't really roam with boots and mobility. Soraka is amazing if you have 2 or more tanks on your team or one healing based champion like Vladimir who already builds Spirit Vestige. With champions who normally build Spirit Vestige like Vladimir and Mundo, Soraka is ridiculous because whenever you heal, they're getting loads of extra healing off of it. Also, she does a great job at keeping her AD carry in the lane and poking the enemies down with her Q and auto attacks. She's actually a really good lane bully, and I've made videos specific on this. For example, if you want to go check out my Soraka guide, which is called How to Actually Play Support Soraka. The third champion pick on my support roster is Janna. If Alistair isn't a good pick and if Soraka is picked or banned, I will go with Janna. Her shields are very safe. She's easy to play. Late game, you just need to focus on shielding your AD carry primarily, using your ultimate whenever the assassin jumps in, and using your tornado to do the same thing. I wouldn't recommend her if you want to carry your game, but if you have no other choice or if you get on-field support, she's a great pickup, which is why I do have her at number 3 and not at number 1 or number 2 on my support roster. My mid roster consists of 2 champions, Veigar and Xerath. I have Veigar on here because he destroys low elo really easily. People don't know how to punish him properly or stop him from power farming his Q. The second one, Xerath, I have him on here just because I've been playing him for so many seasons. He's a bit of a comfort pick for me. In general though, if I get put mid and I'm playing ranked and I want to win, I'm going to either dodge or trade it off to somebody else. If I actually have to play mid and higher elo, I am not going to play mid. And finally, I have my top lane roster. Currently, I only have 2 champions for my top lane roster, and like I said, if it's higher elo, I'm not going to play top lane. I'm going to try to trade it off, and if I can't trade it off to someone else, I'm going to dodge. For my top lane, all I really have is Jax and Cho'Gath. I would pick Jax if the enemy top laner's auto attack based like Tryndamere. And I'd go Cho'Gath if my team really needed a tank, and if the enemy top laner wasn't very abusive, if they couldn't really bully you in lane and they were just another tank, maybe something like a Sion or a Malphite. And that is my complete roster for every single one of my roles: jungle, AD carry, support, mid, and top. If you guys enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help me out a lot. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys out there on the Rift.